Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the channel. Today's kind of special, as you can see. We have a Looksmart car. Yes, we do. Another Looksmart. This is actually turned on its side. Actually, it looks like this. And guess what it is? It is a Ferrari SF1000, that driven by Sebastion Vettel at the Austrian GP in 2020. Now, if you're familiar with these, the boxes are really, quite honestly, they're quite spectacular. I mean, the packaging is just absolutely amazing. Flip it over on its side, how I like to look at it, and it looks just like that. I mean, it just bleeds Ferrari. You pull the top off it, and it looks like so. Your car is actually here, wrapped in this styrofoam. Pulling it out is tricky, as it's very, very tight, and of course you have to virtually rip the seal off to get the car out. And once you do, there you have it. The car is obviously 1/43 scale, comes on this plastic base, has a really cool aluminum tag on the front of the base, and is enclosed by an oversized acrylic jewel cover. So let's talk a little bit about the 2020 Ferrari SF1000. This particular car was designed by Scuderia Ferrari for the 2020 Formula 1 season, and due to technical regulation being virtually unchanged, the SF1000 was an evolution of the previous Ferrari SF90. Ferrari noted that the changes were extreme with all the concepts as much as they could. For example, the center of gravity was lowered through elements of the cooling system, and the car featured narrower side pot inlets and more complex barge boards. The chassis was carbon fiber and honeycomb composite, fitted with a mid-mounted, good God, 1.6-liter V6 Ferrari 065 engine. Sometimes my head thinks faster than my tongue can get the words out. Interesting note, this engine was investigated following the 2019 season for violations of provisions on fuel flow restrictions. The FIA, however, concluded with no penalty given, but did tighten the fuel flow sensor. Consequently, the car lost 65 brake horsepower in comparison to the SF90. Now, at the start of the 2020 season, as you're aware, that was the COVID-19 pandemic, and the Formula 1 season was significantly affected. 9 races were either postponed or canceled. Thus, the SF1000 competed only 17 races. Neither driver managed a win or a pole. However, the team did manage 3 podiums. Now, this particular car that you're looking at was driven by Sebastion Vettel at the Austrian Grand Prix, as they note on the tag you see there. And Vettel named this car Lucilla, continuing his tradition of naming cars. And the livery reflects that of the first race of the season. Now, Vettel finished the race 10th and stated that he was happy that he only spun the car once and that it was very difficult to drive. Now, this particular model is resin, and I think it is a good, attractive model, as you would expect from Looksmart. The finish of it is a bright red. I know it looks orange in this, and it is flat. It is not glossy black, as you would expect from Looksmart, and I believe these cars are made by Spark for Looksmart. Details on it are phenomenal. If you take a look, for example, at the front wing, while it looks like it has individual louvers or parts, it really doesn't. They're only painted as such. I suspect the 118 model may have it. And you can see there are very nice photo-etched parts on the wing, essentially holding the various panels together. Very, very sharp. The nose looks really cool. The suspension, as usual, has the carbon fiber detail you would expect. Very delicate pitot tube and aerials on the front of the car. If you take a look at the wheels, you can see they've got the Pirelli P0 tires, the white sidewalls. They're okay. You can't really see, honestly, unless you look at it with a magnifying glass, you really can't see the rotors in there or the brake calipers. The barge board, I think, is really neat looking. It is quite complex if you take a look at it from all the way around, as they had stated. Very, very different. Of course, it has the halo, which was started in the 2018 season. And taking a look at the floor of the car, very, very wide with a very, very narrow engine pod on there. I think the rear wing looks really sharp with the DRS device very petitely attached to it. And I think folks at Looksmart did a really good job in that regard. It's very, very sharp. Carbon fiber trim, is just excellent all around. I mean, take a look at the floor. You can see it as it abounds. I really like the shape of the car. I think it is very, very sharp. The cockpit details are quite nice. I have to pull out a little bit and you can see the steering wheel. Believe it or not, the steering wheel does look better than it looks from here. The helmet, it's, I don't think it's one of the cooler or more complex helmets that I've seen. But you can see the camera pod on the top of the engine air intake. Carbon fiber trim is really, really sharp. Not exactly sure what they call this piece here. If anybody knows, please let me know. I would be curious so that I can name it correctly in future videos. Pull out a little bit, take a look at it from the side. Sponsors being Shell, UPS, and Ray-Ban. Let's take a look at the rear of the car. This is usually where I think both Spark and Looksmart really shine. The rear detail, just all the various components of the suspension, the diffuser, the exhaust, really nicely done. The wheels, very, very sharp. Take a look at that rear wing. Well, this is not the most complex livery or the coolest. Well, it is Ferrari red, so it is what it is. All in all, I think it's a really good-looking car. I got to be honest with you, for what you pay for these cars, I'm not really that impressed. They are substantially more expensive than your standard Spark. The box are phenomenal, but quite frankly, once you've taken the car out of the box, you really hardly ever look at it again. The base is cool, and I do like the aluminum tag on the front of the car. So I give a lot of kudos. The details are exceptional, but you get the same thing from Spark. I think the thing you're really paying for when you get a Looksmart car is the fact that it's a Ferrari. You've got the Ferrari badge, and I expect that licensing is expensive. That being said, I think it's really cool. You can get a Bburago for about maybe 10, 15 bucks, and this costs you about 125. Yeah. I think I'm going to do a comparison of the two. I mean, to be honest with you, if you can afford the money, I would buy the Looksmart every time. But I got to be honest with you, I'm just not as impressed or overwhelmed as I should be. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. See you next time.